It's official. Honda and Nissan have announced a tri-venture partnership between the three companies, Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi. If successful, the merger will be finalized by the end of 2025, with Honda expected to nominate the directors and the president of the company. The resulting entity would become, in theory, a $50 billion company, making it the world's third largest automaker by sales volume, behind only Toyota and the Volkswagen Group. But this is not what it seems. It's not at all what it appears to be. Guys, most sections of the media get paid too much to tell you the truth. Why the hell did Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi just merge? I mean, it's insane, right? Surely it's not just because they want to become the third largest automaker in the world. There's got to be more to this story. Well, if you've been following this channel closely, I'm sure you'd be aware. But as we have many new subscribers, here is why Mitsubishi and Nissan joined up with Honda to form a powerhouse of an automotive company. If you think that's true, well, I've got a bridge to sell you. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. It's great to have you with us. Guys, if you'd like to become a member, we now have just over 400 members, and I really appreciate you guys. I'll put a link in the description to our member page. Honda said this is a once in 100 year disruption. Once in 100 years, they're saying there will be and is currently underway an historic reshuffling and historic disruption of the automotive industry that, well, we've never seen before, really. Even Honda and Nissan are saying that, literally in those words. So even though I've been saying this would happen for 3.5 years, many people say this isn't true. What they'll do is produce their own YouTube videos providing data from 2022 or 2023, as if that's relevant to today, to try and support their argument for why their favorite brand is going to be fine, nothing's going to change, status quo, BlackBerry's not going to go bankrupt. Yeah, companies are being disrupted, and even they are admitting that. Among the reasons for Honda merging with Nissan Motor Company, one looms very large. That's China. The surging popularity of electric and hybrid vehicles made by BYD and others has raised the leading position that Japan's automakers and the Volkswagen Group and General Motors and Ford enjoyed as providers of high-quality cars with cachet that poured billions of dollars into legacy automakers' pockets. That's left them with too much capacity in local factories that were built to satisfy anticipated domestic demand in the world's largest market for automobiles. Nissan has shut down factories in China. Factories still open are running well below capacity. That's not just Nissan, that's also Honda. Keep in mind, Mitsubishi essentially declared bankruptcy in the country when they simply walked up, got out, and left. All the employees just walked off, went back to Japan. That's a true story. Did the media even report that? I don't even think so. When you look at Honda and Nissan, they've been losing the market for some time, said James Hong, an analyst at Macquarie Securities Korea. We expect both to come up with very large capacity cuts to at least cover some of the fixed cost burdens they have in China. Operative word here, guys. Fixed cost burdens they have in China. Now, here's the problem. If you start shutting factories, investors flee and you lose money, right? You need that money from investors. And you start shutting factories and the media hear about this. They start telling people and people start to think to themselves, hang on a minute, maybe Nissan's in trouble. Maybe it's not just the Electric Viking making things up. Maybe it's actually true. Nissan made 779,000 cars and light trucks in China during the fiscal year that ended in March. That's half. 50% less than in recent years. But that number will fall again next year. The Yokohama-based automaker has embarked on a cost-cutting plan that will slash global capacity by a fifth to 4 million vehicles. Now, I'd be shocked if they can even sell that many over the next 12 months. However, China will account for more than half of the 1 million unit reduction, according to Citigroup Global Markets analyst Arifumi Yoshida. But the problem is, right, that Nissan makes cars in China at a much lower cost than they do elsewhere. So whilst Nissan is making less cars than ever in China, that means it's making more cars that cost more to build outside of China. And seeing as it's lost money for 3 straight quarters in 9 months in a row worldwide, losses are more than likely to continue. There's really no way out here. Nissan themselves said this. They said we have 12 to 14 months to find an investor to bail us out. We have a $7 billion debt bond bill coming in 12 months, and we don't know how we're going to pay it. Honda said in July that it will close factories and reduce capacity by 20% in China. Now that number is obviously conservative. The car maker is in negotiations with local partners to further cuts, Executive Vice President Shinji Aoyama said last month. Now, if you look at this chart here from Bloomberg, you can see, look at Nissan sales back in 2018, 2019, even 2020 in China. Look how fast they've shrunk from 2021. Rapid decrease in sales. Tell me, why on earth would you buy a Nissan vehicle in China when you have so many other better choices that are more affordable, better technology, better electric cars, better plug-in hybrids? Why would you buy a Nissan? There's only one reason, if you were some sort of major Nissan brand fan. But even those are dying. More broadly, Nissan has been in a state of turmoil since the late 2018 arrest and ouster of former chairman Carlos Ghosn. Multiple management shakeups and an outdated product lineup have contributed to shrink it to Japan's 5th largest automaker by market value at around $10 billion. That's made Nissan a takeover target. Not that anyone in their right mind would want this company, if you ask me. Efforts to engage in a merger accelerated after Hon Hai Precision Industry Company, the Taiwan-based producer of iPhones known as Foxconn, approached Nissan about acquiring the company, or at least a 51% stake, so that they would essentially control it. The combination of Honda and Nissan has long been anticipated, says Automotive News China, and even explored in the past, with the Japanese automotive industry coalescing into 2 camps. One including the 2 car makers and another controlled by the Toyota Motor Corporation group of companies. Japanese automakers, though, aren't the only ones suffering in China. General Motors is facing $5 billion in charges and massive write-downs related to its operations in the country as it seeks to turn around a once profitable business. Germany's Volkswagen Group, along with BMW and Mercedes, are also struggling after falling behind on technology trends. The truth is the Chinese know that manufacturers that are not Chinese, they're not all in on electric cars. They're not all in on technology. They're just there to make a profit. That's their bottom line. Profit, profit, profit. The Chinese companies are there to take market share. And they can only do that by providing a better product at a lower price. Now, you've got to be a bit of a fool, right, to buy an inferior product for a higher price. And the truth is that whilst there are still a fair few fools in China willing to do this, the number of them is shrinking by the day. Nissan expects to produce 3.2 million vehicles worldwide during its current fiscal year, well below its ability to produce 5 million units annually. In other words, it has factories around the world that should be making 5 million cars a year, but they're only producing 3.2 million. So they have massive excess costs. Imagine, you've got to run that entire factory, right? If you're running at well below capacity, maybe 50 or 60%, then you're making a loss. And that's evident in Nissan's losses over the past 9 months. That translates to a capacity utilization rate worldwide of only 64%. Excluding China, the rate improves to 73%. Nissan Executive Vice President Hideyuki Sakamoto told analysts in November. Optimal capacity utilization rates for legacy automakers is widely considered to be at least 80%, according to Tatsuo Yoshida, senior analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence. Now, as you can see, Nissan's stock price has taken a battering. In fact, its stock price was down well over 80% until about a week ago when news of this came out. All of a sudden, investors went, whoa, okay, Nissan aren't going to go bankrupt after all because they've been essentially acquired by Honda. Now, what we know about this deal is that Honda will vote on who the executives of this new company are, right? This is going to take place at the end of 2025, maybe early 2026. But essentially now, Nissan is no longer in charge. Honda is. So this is really more of an acquisition than what it's been called. It's been called a merger. Of course, that saves face, doesn't it? And we know in Asia, saving face is extremely important. Sometimes it's more important than the success of a business. Looking like you're succeeding or looking like you're in charge still when you're not really. 7 months after pledging to increase annual global sales by 1 million units over the next 3 years, which I made a video of and I said, investors, this is fucking nonsense. Nissan has no pathway to increase its global sales by 1 million. In fact, if anything, they're trending down by 1 million, which turned out to be right. Nissan CEO Makoto Ukida walked that back when announcing the company's restructuring measures last month. Despite the planned job cuts and potential plant closures, many of which have already been closed, he hasn't given details of what's going to happen. But he has revealed that more than 10,000 staff will be fired. Nissan is already adjusting production speeds and work shift schedules while integrating old production lines with newer ones. You know how well that goes, don't you? Vice President Sakamoto said this: next generation production technology introduced at its Toshigi plant will be deployed at other facilities to save on headcount. These measures should start to deliver results as soon as next year, he said. I wouldn't say the Chinese market won't ever be a lucrative one for Japanese manufacturers, Yoshida said, but it's not going to happen during the next 3 to 5 years. Really? Does Nissan really think anyone believes that they're going to sell any number of cars in 5 years in China? Well, according to Nissan, they have a trump card, which will enable this to happen. Solid-state batteries. Nissan claims that in 2026, it will have solid-state batteries in its cars. Now, I called this out as a straight-up lie on a number of occasions. This has not shown us these batteries. Are the media allowed to go and look at them? Pre-production prototypes of these batteries? Have we seen details of them? How many layers? What kind of materials are they using? There's 3 different types of solid-state batteries. Which one is it? No one actually knows. And therefore we know it's simply made up. I'm sure Nissan's working on solid-state batteries, but whether or not they'll be in production in even 15 years' time is anyone's guess. And it's a pure Disney fantasy to think that solid-state batteries will save Nissan, or anyone else for that matter. Now, the truth here is that consolidation in the automotive industry will continue to happen. But it's essentially a way of saving companies that can't save themselves. Nissan is as good as bankrupt. That's the truth. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to be bailed out and bought out by Honda, which is basically what's happening here. If you believe the media, it's business as normal. If you look between the lines at what's really happening, the truth is this. The Japanese automotive industry, along with the German automotive industry and the American automotive industry, it's in big trouble. But it's worse for Japan. And the reason is this. Most of Japan's economy is tied inextricably to the automotive industry. It relies on the automotive industry for a huge percentage of its GDP, more than any other company in the world. But at the same time, the Japanese government is more indebted than any country in the history of mankind, and it's not even close. If you guys think that the United States is in trouble because of its enormous debts, well, Japan's debt to GDP ratio is nearly double that of America's. And they don't hold the trump card of being the world's reserve currency. How do you think this is going to play out for Japan? I see this as being a nightmare. I believe that when the Japanese automotive industry finally crumbles, I think this will trigger a global recession, possibly even a global depression. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thanks for watching.